The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Bang of better, sign up today at just a peppercode HGPN. When you sign up, get a free Terrorist t-shirt. Claim your shirt at sportsgambling.com/refs. And welcome, everybody, to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is currently Sunday afternoon. It is June 15th, around 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Real Sips of Sky Show, once again joined by Lonte Smith. Together, we're going to break down Game 5, taking place on Monday in the NBA Finals between the Pacers and the Thunder. For that, though, mentioned before, my co-host is Lonte. He's here with me. How's it going with you?
Not bad, man. Better than the Yankees are doing this weekend. But
Can't hit.
doing all right, man. Had some good basketball. It's a disappointment that we don't have basketball today, but hey, we've had three and 3/3 good games. But can't complain, man. Ready for the action tomorrow, and ready to talk about it with you today.
Yep, definitely looking forward to it. Should be fun. Point is, though, looking forward to Game 5. But before I actually get into Game 5 and the recap of Game 4, we had some news, which is kind of rare for the NBA to have I don't know if blockbuster is the right term, but to have a surprising trade before the ending of the finals. I feel like it's kind of a bit of a weird time period to have a big trade, but we had one because the Magic ended up acquiring Desmond Bane this afternoon and gave up a ton in order to get him. They gave up KCP, they gave up Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and a first-round pick swap. So I'm going to ask you, just for starters, who do you think actually won the trade and why?
That's a good question. I think it works for both teams, to be honest. I mean, the KCP thing uh, gives the Grizz some shooting. I know Bane was a shooter and connector, but it gives them a veteran presence as well. I know people in that organization or cover that organization have been wanting like veteran presence. So you get that. You get a backup point guard in Cole Anthony. I'm not sure. I thought Scottie Pippen deserved to be the only point guard, but I guess you can play Cole Anthony at the kind of the 2 spot if you want kind of instant offense off the bench. So you get a little bit of depth there at the guard position, being that Ja is typically missing anywhere from 25 to 30 games a year, maybe more than that. Just kind of depends on what his situation is, but we know he's constantly hurt. So they added the depth, the pick pieces. I mean, I think that's a great. I think they got 20, 26, 28, and 30. If I'm not mistaken, I think were the picks. So that's pretty good. And for the Magic, I think they got instantly what they needed. They needed a shooter. They needed a creator outside of Paulo and Franz that can spot up as well as dictate create his own shot. So I thought it was somewhat of a win for both teams. Right now, I think it's more beneficial to Orlando, and you get a proven player in the league. He's been in playoff moments. He's played in big games. He's got a proven track record. He can shoot. I think he's like 40% from 3, so he can shoot it. And you're adding another piece that you didn't have, which was the shooting. So I think it works out for both teams instantly right now. I would say the Magic won it just because of the piece that they have added on to what they already had, and they didn't give up. I mean, Cole Anthony is fine, but you're gonna insert Anthony Black in that role to be more so of the facilitator. You also give up KCP, but it's similar. He didn't play well this year. I think that's more so of a salary match for Desmond Bane. I think he was owed like $43 million over the next 2 years or something like that. So I understand it. I understand it for both sides. If you're a Memphis fan, I can kind of see where you're kind of confused because you did get 2 solid rotational pieces, but you also got picks for the future. So like, where does that leave you? Right now. So I can see the confusion of Memphis fans, but I think it's fine for both teams. So I don't think there's a winner or loser, to be honest.
Yeah, so we're going to disagree pretty heavily on this one. I understand the concept of what Orlando is trying to do because we have been roasting their three-point shooting for years, and they finally went out and got themselves an actual shooter. Having said that, 4 unprotected first-round picks, including a Phoenix pick next year. Phoenix might be bad next year, especially if they trade Durant. That could easily be a lottery pick. And I don't know if that's protected or not. It's not, I don't believe. So once again, you might be giving up a pretty important pick. If Phoenix ends up trading Durant and completely implodes, that's a potential top 10 pick. I feel like they had to sweeten the deal with a bit of draft capital because the KCP contract's been kind of a mess.
Yeah.
So they kind of just needed the actual opportunity for the, I'd say, clearing of salary cap for KCP while also acquiring a shooter, and that would cost another pick or two. Having said that, this is an insane package for Desmond Bane. I like Desmond Bane. I think he's a good player. I think 4 first-round picks and a swap unprotected is insane. If you want to argue protected, I'd understand it a bit more, but no protections at all, including that Phoenix pick, I think is outrageous for Orlando. Now, the way they see it, the Eastern Conference stinks. And I know that Indiana's been a solid team. They've been better than people thought. But the argument is with Tatum being injured, with Brown having surgery now, Boston might have some issues next season. The Knicks, will see what they're going to do. They changed coaches. They haven't actually, decided who the new coach is going to be. But it feels like a lot of the teams towards the top, Cleveland should still be pretty good. But the argument is a lot of teams towards the top of the Eastern Conference are not really set in stone. There's a lot of moving pieces to those teams. It's an open conference, and maybe you might be one piece away from actually being a team that could contend for a finals appearance, in theory. That's the argument for Orlando. Having said that, they gave up so many damn picks for Desmond Bane. I think Bane's a good player, but is he an all-star caliber player? I don't know the answer to that. Do you think he's an all-star caliber player?
Possibly, but I mean, he doesn't have to be that. He doesn't. He can be. This is even a smaller role here than he was in Memphis. So I think he's fine for what they need. I mean, to me, the draft picks don't really mean a ton, simply because some teams.
The Phoenix picks does. The Orlando one, you could argue they'll be in the 20s anyway, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you want another young guy in this, on this roster. I mean, I don't think that's for the timeline that they're on. They got 2, potential All NBA guys with Paulo and Franz. I mean, I don't know if you want to bring in any draft picks. I wouldn't want to draft for the next 2 or 3 years because they don't fit the timeline that those guys are on. I mean, they've drafted, top 15 for the past, few years, and none of those draft picks can crack the rotation. So I don't know what will be the difference for like 2026 or 2027. Like, what would be? It's not going to be a guy that comes in. I mean, unless they get the number 1 pick, obviously. But I mean, again, like I don't really value. Some teams I know value picks more than the others. But I think a team like Orlando, like Jet Howard, can't see the floor. Tristan Da Silva can't see the floor. Anthony Black is barely playing here and there. And who was Caleb Houston barely seeing the floor? Like, they got multiple guys that they've already drafted and haven't developed into, any kind of rotational piece. So I think adding more young guys is just kind of redundant. To me, that's how I look at it. And I think that's pretty much how they looked at it, because why should we keep drafting young guys trying to develop when we're in win now mode? Like, they have proven. They went to the playoffs back-to-back years. This year specifically is more so I thought was like really, really good for the team, because they played with both of the stars out for extended periods of time. So I mean, the picks are what they are. I don't really value them too much, especially to a team like Orlando, who hasn't really, they haven't really drafted particularly well. I mean, they okay. But again, how much is a top 10, top 11 pick gonna, I don't know how much that's gonna do for you next year. And then they're probably banking on, hey, we'll be fine with the core that we got. So I don't really value the picks enough. I guess that's where we disagree.
Yeah, I feel like, once again, you're mentioning the age of Bane. He's 26. I feel like it is worth mentioning he does fit in with the timetable of the young core, where if you're looking at 5 first-round picks or 4 in a swap, you'd argue that's something you'd give up for an actual elite player, like a Durant, something like that. He doesn't fit the timetable, as you said before. So I feel like that's the counterpoint for that. To mention Bane's contract, he is under contract for 4 more years.
Yeah.
So he's making 36.7 this upcoming year, then 39, then 42, then about 44.8. Cap is going up, but the argument is he's a guy who can give you solid, once again, production, and you're paying him less than $40 million for the next 2 seasons. So I understand that argument. I do think it's a lot. I feel like if you want to switch to talk about Memphis for a second, you're mentioning that they're getting some pieces back. That was not my interpretation. I think Memphis might be nuking the team.
Oh, really?
I feel like you're looking at Bane, who was the second best player. You could argue third best behind Jaren Jackson Jr. I would rather have Bane, personally. I'm very anti-Jaren Jackson because he just doesn't rebound the ball.
I would disagree.
I'm saying you can argue that it's like maybe a 2A, 2B thing. The fact is, Ja, for off the court or on the court with durability, he has problems. Jaren Jackson Jr. also hurt a lot. He has his own flaws with the team.
Yeah.
They ended up firing their coach with like a couple weeks left in the season. They lost in the first round. They didn't win a game. And you're looking at, once again, Bane being traded. I don't think this is we're going to move on from this and try to keep the core together. This feels like a first of many ripcord pulls that I feel like I'm kind of noticing here. I think Memphis might be nuking the team. Either that or they're going to flip the 4 picks they got and try to get a star out of it, which could be a possibility too.
Yeah,
But
that's the way I mean. Yeah.
I think Memphis, this could be the first move of many for either future tanking or for future retooling. Do you think they actually keep those 4 picks? Because I don't know if they're going to.
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think you posed a good point as well as far as the trajectory of the team. And I mean, we don't know this. Like I heard Windhorst talking about it as well. Like it's just unknown as to what to do because you get both things in this trade. You got future assets, and then you got 2 players who, I mean, they can play. They played in playoff games. KCP's a champion, so like Cole Anthony is not. I mean, I wouldn't say proven, but he's a guy who can microwave score. He's a good NBA player. Like I don't think he's bad.
Yeah, but what is KCP though? KCP and Cole Anthony at this point are what? They're bench players. You could argue KCP is the occasional starter who's a 3-and-D guy who forgot how to shoot.
Yeah, and that's fine. So I would my thing with Memphis is I think that you're going to see them set up to do something else. I think they'll extend Ja. I think they'll extend Jaren, and then use those 4 picks and a player or something to try to get another few pieces in that can really help them even more as far as depth wise. So that's the way that I think it's going to go. But again, I'm not saying that you're wrong because I can totally see them saying, oh well, we'll just get rid of Ja or Jaren. I don't know why. I don't agree with doing it, but I can kind of see the vision of doing that because, I mean, you're in the West. It's only like 2 teams, in the West that you can pretty much draw a line through. Is what I think, which would be Phoenix, Utah, and maybe I guess, I really. Portland is kind of up and down. I think they're going to improve, but
to be honest, I'll include Sacramento in there, but whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, I think they just got enough. Depending on what they do, like right now, I think they're just they're talented enough to not bottom out. They'll be right around where they were, just 8-9.
Well, it depends how you define bottoming out, because I don't see the Kings being a play-in team, for example. They might not be in the bottom.
Yeah,
I mean, Utah's the bottom.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Be terrible.
Yeah. So I think they can stay within 8 and 10, but but it's hard to bottom out, bro. And like Ja is, he is what he is, but like he means a lot to that city. I know that that's not basketball related, but
no,
I think that's something that you have to take. Like before Ja, who was the last person in Memphis that you were like, oh yeah, this is a star, like a star. Like even when Powell was there, even when they had their runs with the grit and grind era, it wasn't a star. They were more of like a team with Conley, Tony Allen, Marc Gasol, like all those guys were like a Detroit Pistons championship.
Just to be clear, do you mean on the court or do you mean marketability?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, like neither of those guys have the marketability, superstardom, or anything like that. And I think that is what puts fans in the seat, and that's what you want to do as an organization. And I think right now they still. I mean, let's not forget. I mean, I know it's been brought up plenty of times, but they were the 2nd seed in the West for the majority of the season. So, I mean, I think it's more than one way to go about it. Like the way that you're talking about, I can totally see that. But I think this sets up for what is expected to be a monster offseason for the entire NBA, not just these 2 teams.
At the end of the day, it gives them options. They can either choose to flip the picks, or they can choose to potentially sell more. So they are. You can argue on one hand stuck in purgatory, and the other hand they have a lot of options. They can choose which way they want to go. I still think the core is not going to work. I don't think Ja can be the best player on an actual contending team because he's never healthy enough, and he also can't really hit a jump shot on a regular basis. So I see flaws with his game. Jaren Jackson Jr. I just don't like as a player. I understand the defensive upside. I get that he can shoot. I get that he's versatile, but he can't rebound, and it pisses me off. And I feel like when you are going to be a guy who is viewed in a certain, I'd say, reputation as being a top 30 top 20 upside guy. I just think his flaws are too alarming. They're too glaring to me. I think they would keep Ja because of the marketability, because of the star potential. I think if they're going to trade somebody else, it would be Jaren, if I had to pick out of those two guys.
Yeah, I agree.
But the thing is, you traded away a 20-point per game scorer for basically a 3-and-D guy and a bench guy, arguably two bench players. So they only did this for the picks. That's how I look at it. So that's why I don't know if I agree with the argument that Memphis is going to try to hold on and remain competitive. If you just traded a 20-plus point per game guy or a 20-point per game guy who shoots 48% from the floor and 40% from three for KCP off a horrible season, who has a really bad contract, and Cole Anthony, that feels like the first of a potential blowing up type of trade. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. Like, I can see it both ways. I think it's just how you. I just think it's just how you interpret it. And again, like right now, like as currently constructed, they're not at the bottom of the list. They're still right in the
No,
middle.
I mean, it depends how many games Ja plays, but assuming he plays his normal half of the season, basically, you're probably banking on a play-in spot.
I mean, but that's not. But to me, that's not. I mean, that's not bottoming out because you'll be in the same situation you are now. Because what are they picking? Like, they don't even have a first round pick.
No, but the point is they were a playing team that got out. But once
Yeah,
again,
that's what I'm saying. I
you're
think
right.
they're about the same.
But the argument is Memphis making this trade because they want to bottom out? That's kind of my point.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if they are, then they got to get rid of one of those guys. And I would.
That's what I'm saying. So
it would be Jaren over Ja for me.
They can go a couple of ways, but I think Memphis is definitely not done trading. Either they will trade some of these picks for a Durant, etc., or they're going to trade either Ja or Jaren and try to bottom out.
Durant is a good spot. But my thing is, if you to me, if you're like if I'm Ja and you trade Jaren, like I'm not. That's not good for me. Like I'm trying to win. Like I don't got time for a rebuild.
That's what I'm saying. They might potentially nuke the entire team. I think that is not a
if I'm Ja, I'm not doing a rebuild. Like,
yeah, Ja might want to move, and I feel like Memphis. I know that you mentioned how much of a star he is in that city.
He is.
I would be fine with trading him if I was Memphis. It's a lot of baggage you got to put up with, and he's never healthy. So I'm fine with trading him too. But I feel like it's the start of multiple moves that will be to the process of being made by Memphis over the next couple of months. But either way, for the winner of the trade, you could argue it's too early to tell, like all trades, because you got to see if Bane makes Orlando a contender or if Memphis is able to flip some things or get a good pick from the Phoenix pick. We'll see. I'll give Memphis the edge for now because I think 4 unprotected picks is a lot. If it was protected, I would feel differently. But unprotected with the Phoenix pick next year, I think it's a lot. I think Memphis got a W as far as I'm concerned. We'll reevaluate depending on how the rest of the offseason goes. Mm-hmm. But I really like the package they got back in return. So that's where I'm at with that one. Anyway, moving on, though, to what happened in Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Before we get into that, though, a reminder that you can find all of our picks and podcasts for the Stanley Cup, college basketball, when it's the season. You have college baseball, World Series, NBA Finals, etc. Find all of our picks on the SGPN app. It's free to download wherever you do get your apps. Point is, though, for Game 4 of the NBA Finals on Friday, the Thunder, it was basically a bizarro Game 1 where one team was dominating almost the entire game, and then you looked up and saw the team that was trailing was only down by like 5, and you're wondering, why is this game close? And then the team that was trailing the entire game came back and won, and the Thunder were able to dominate the fourth quarter as they even up the series at 2. I'm going to ask you, Lonte, where you want to start, because you can talk about Indiana scoring 1 point in the final 3:19. You can talk about Scott Foster. You can talk about Shea. You can talk about J-Dub. You go in a lot of different directions. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, man, this is first off, credit to both teams, man. This is an incredible series. Like I said, it's only been one. I think the Game 2 was competitive for like 2.5 quarters before OKC pulled away, and then still they were right there simply because we know what the Pacers are able to do with leads.
I think Game 2 is a stretch because I think OKC was up double digits at half. I think that game was decided a bit more, or I'd say earlier than Game 1. Game 1 was great. Game 1 was great. Game 3 was solid as well, and Game 4 was very good. Game 2, I think, was
Yeah,
kind
so
of a dud, but it's fine. 3 of the first 4 games have been really good.
So I think that, man, both of these teams have been playing extremely hard. I think both coaches have been tacticians and what they've been doing with their lineups, with their substitution patterns, with the minutes that they've been resting. They've adjusted off each other. So I'll start there, man. And Indiana has really been impressive to me, more impressive than I thought they would be, and I think the whole world. As you can probably just quick Google search to tell you, you'll see Thunder in 5 for most of these predictions and things like that. So credit to the Pacers. I mean, they're 2-2. I think if you ask them, hey, would you rather be 2-2 or 3-1? Or I mean, obviously, but if you would have asked them beforehand, hey, would you take 2-2 with best of 3? Absolutely, you will. So first off, I'll just credit to both teams. I think it's been an incredible series so far. I thought Game 5 was one. I mean, Game 4 was one that the Thunder did to Indiana what Indiana does to other people. They kind of let them hang around. The defense kind of took over in the second half. I thought Mark was really good with his rotations, resting Shea a little bit. And if you listen to the show that me and Terrell did, I talked about how he should probably do more of resting, SGA earlier rather than just letting them play that full first quarter and sitting him for the second quarter. Same with the third and the fourth. And so you saw him do that, and SGA looked a lot fresher in the end. And I mean, the Thunder 3 of 16 from 3, man, and still, despite that, win the game by 7. Like I think that's really impressive by them. But again, I think Indiana is that's a tough game to come. That's a tough game to come back from, man. It really is. So that's my just overarching thoughts, and I'll let you just give yours.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to start off with the officiating, by the way, because it's going to segue into my stance on the game. Scott Foster was really bad, which is not a surprise. We know that every time he's on the court, he will make it about himself. He will cause random stoppages of play to go to the scores table. He'll also be inconsistent with foul calls. The flow is really not there for the majority of the game, and I will point that out. Having said that, I am not going to blame Scott Foster for the reason why the Pacers lost the game. And I'm really annoyed when people are blaming the officials for Shea getting so many free throws and Halliburton gets none. It's because Halliburton doesn't go to the damn basket. Like, you got to factor in play styles here. Shea is constantly attacking. Halliburton is very passive. It's why we've called him out at times. It's because he can have a game like against the Knicks where he goes off for a monster triple-double. He is one of the best halves of all time in an NBA playoff game. And then you look at the next game and he's 4 points in the third quarter. And I feel like it's a spot where Halliburton is a guy who does not really force the issue that much, for better or worse. Shea does. So I don't care about the free throw differential between Shea and Halliburton when their play styles really suggest that Shea should be getting a lot more free throws than Halliburton gets. Now, were the officials good? No. Do they favor one team over the other? In my opinion, no. I thought the refs were pretty consistently inconsistent throughout the course of the entire game. The Dort miss on the push in the back against Halliburton was, once again, a play in the moment, which you didn't really notice. On replay, Dort shoved him. I mean, he did. It is what it is. Now, did I think it was a flagrant foul? No, because I don't know how the Nesmith one wasn't a flagrant foul the game prior. So I don't actually know what's a foul and what's not anymore for flagrants, but I thought Scott Foster and the crew were really bad. At the end of the day, the Pacers had a couple of really dumb fouls, mainly by Nesmith, who forgot that hand checking got outlawed in the mid-2000s and was putting his hand on Shea's shoulder, and then Shea goes up for the classic up fake, draws a foul, gets free throws, and people complain about it. Tell Nesmith to take his hand off Shea. That's a guaranteed foul. And then you have another one where he's going through the lane, he airballs mid-range jumper, because Nesmith clearly hits him on the arm, and it's a foul.
Yeah, they called that one late, though. I get they called
it. Was a late foul call.
It was a foul, but it was late.
It was a late foul call, but he clearly hits him on the arm. That's definitely the right call to be made. So
I think they were making it like to see. They wanted to see if the ball went in, and they probably
correct. And if Shea, who's a great mid-range jump shooter, airballs a shooter, he's probably getting fouled, and he did. So I thought the refs did not cost Indiana the game. I thought Indiana stunk down the stretch. Offensively, they no-showed the final 4 minutes of the game. And after Toppin hit those 2 3-pointers, he had a possession where he bricked 2 free throws. The team imploded offensively. OKC ramped up the intensity. They made all the shots they needed to make. Shea made a big three. J-Dub was great in the game. Chet had some big offensive rebounds. I thought they made a bunch of the hustle plays they needed to make. But Indiana, at the end of the day, could not put the ball in the basket for the last couple minutes. And that's why they lost. I'm not blaming the officials. I don't want a scapegoat in there. Blame the Pacers for forgetting how to play offense for the final 3:20. They scored 1 point at home in a close game to potentially go up 3-1 in the finals. I will give credit to OKC's defense. I'll give credit to J-Dub and to Shea. And I'll give credit to Caruso and Chet. Chet was really bad offensively for the first half of the game. But you know what? He did a good job on the boards. He had a couple putbacks. He did what he needed to do to buy extra possessions for his team. You also have the Mathurin situation, which I'm not going to even bring up because that was some of the worst 2-minute stretches of basketball I've seen the entire postseason. But they might have lost the game anyway. The point is, the Pacers shot themselves in the foot constantly for the final 4 minutes. I'm not going to blame officiating for that. I will blame Indiana. I'll blame the rotations from Carlisle. I'll blame a couple of, once again, things they did themselves, not Scott Foster. Do we agree on that?
Yeah, I don't I don't get how anybody can blame. If you're a Pacers fan, you dominated the game for like 3 2/3 quarters.
Oh,
so
they called the foul because Neesmith has his hand on the shoulder. That's a foul.
Yeah, I mean,
like, what do you want me to tell you? That's a foul.
Yeah. I now I think the officiating, favored. I don't think it favored either team, but I think like the way they were calling it with all of the stoppages and not free flowing, that's something that benefited the Thunder. But I don't think it was done intentionally because we know the Pacers, they want to play with tempo, they want to play with timing, and they can't do that with all these stoppages in the in the game. So I think that benefited the Thunder and also gave the Thunder's guys some breaks, especially SGA, because he's getting pulled and yanked all around, like every possession he's getting like beat up on. So I think
and Mathurin tackled and inbound the ball for 2 free throws.
Yeah. So I don't. Yeah, officiating, was it inconsistent? Yes, it was. It's been really good for 3 games. It was not so good this game. But I think you can make cases for both sides. So I don't. Yeah, officiating was it didn't decide the game at all. I don't think it came into play. I mean, if you're a Pacer fan, you were dominated for a majority of the game. Like I don't know how
it was bizarro game 1. It was the same thing, just the teams flipped. But once again, the officiating didn't impact the game as much as people want to claim in terms of the final couple of minutes. You mentioned the pace. I agree. It killed the entire pace and flow of the game, which helped OKC. But you're up double digits at home, and with a shot to go up 3-1 in the series, and it's the second half, you can't get outscored by 14 in the fourth.
You can look at OKC and tell that they were like, it was over. Like they looked defeated.
Yeah,
they looked defeated after the timeout. I want to say I think Shea hit a mid-range jumper to cut it to maybe 5 or 6, and then Caruso got a steal, leak out. I mean, they stayed the course. They did not waver at all. I mean, I thought it was a great game. I would put some onus on Halliburton and a lot of those other guys on the Pacers squad. They went away from Siakam. Siakam was playing really well. They got away from doing what they do best, which is get everybody involved. And we saw Miles Turner take a few crazy step backs.
Forget about shot, by the way. I don't know how many touches Siakam had in the last 3 minutes.
Right,
I didn't
and that's a problem.
Pay attention to him.
Yeah, that's a problem. And generally they were playing to not lose the game versus winning. That's how I looked at it, and that cost them because they were less aggressive. They felt the game slipping away from them, and then they started to play a little hero because we saw Tyrese, I think, back-to-back plays where he shot an air ball and then he shot one like late in the shot clock that
air ball was bad.
Yeah, so like they got out of their game. I think the defense is credit to that, but I thought that going away from Siakam when he's kind of been the guy who like, okay, let's settle down, let's run a set.
You let the team in points. Get 20 points.
He's been the best player on the team throughout the whole playoffs.
Yeah, but either way, they didn't go to him at all down the stretch.
Yeah, and I don't like them. I mean, I know that that's the pattern, but taking him out with 7 minutes left, like I'm not taking him out.
Yeah, I also want to point out that I have to at least bring it up that Miles Turner, which you were talking about, I can't stand watching him play basketball. I am so anti-Miles Turner. I always have been. It could be because of bias where whenever I bet his props, I always lose. But I don't know what the purpose of him being 7 feet tall is.
Would you pay him?
No, absolutely not. I understand the argument of you want the cohesion, You like the concept of Miles Turner because he's a floor spacer who's a 7-footer who gives you good rim protection. Do I think he's a good defensive player? Not nearly as good as reputation suggests. He was great against Chet in Game 3. I don't think he's a great defensive player by any means. I think he's a shot block chaser who will give up a ton of rebounds because he doesn't rebound the damn ball. And I feel that's a serious problem. They got out-rebounded by 10. They're going small half the time with Siakam and Toppin in their closing lineup because Turner does not rebound the damn ball. To read off the Turner numbers here for rebounding, he had 2 rebounds in Game 4. 2. For the minutes, to mention, he played 30 minutes in back games, and he had 2 rebounds in each of the last 2 games. He had 9 rebounds in Game 1. The first time he's had 9+ rebounds in a month. He has 4 rebounds in Game 2, 2 rebounds in Game 3, and 2 rebounds in Game 4. He's 7 feet tall. In 87 minutes, he has 8 rebounds. No, I am not a Miles Turner guy. I think he's an overrated basketball player, and I can't stand him. That's where I stand on Miles Turner.
So you let him walk?
No, I would sign and trade him.
300-400?
You can't let guys walk like that because there is a market, and you could get something for him. But people pick Miles Turner as being like an unsung hero for this team, as a guy that is, once again, who can impact games. I think he's invisible half the time. You've been benching him for Obi Toppin. I think Toppin's been more impactful in the series than Turner has been, the way I look at it. Now, I understand the argument is you need a center. You can't go that small all the time. I am so anti-Miles Turner. And there's this reputation that he has of being a valuable piece, a guy that can take your team potentially over the top. I don't know. I don't think we're watching the same guy. I'm just not a Turner guy at all. I know you're going to be a lot more generous than I am on Turner, but watching a 7-footer record 2 rebounds in 30 minutes in back-to-back NBA Finals games, for reference, by the way, played, I got to mention the minutes here. He played 19 more minutes than Kenrich Williams and had less rebounds. Kenrich Williams had 3 rebounds in 11 minutes. He had 2 in 30. I can't stand Miles Turner. Not to mention the fact that he thinks that he's Ray Allen from 3, and he hasn't had a jump shot for the last couple games of the series. So I'll ask you, I think he's been a complete liability in the series, besides the defensive effort he had in the second half of Game 3.
In spurts, he's been okay, but
yeah, everybody in spurts as an NBA starter should be decent at times.
Yeah. Overall, a little bit disappointing. I would say, but
would you pay him?
Yeah, I would.
So it's a lot of money for a guy that doesn't rebound and turns invisible for a large
portion. I would pay him, and first of all, I would see if he could take a little bit less. And I would pair him with a bruiser. I would try to get a bruising big. I mean, Steven Adams kind of would have been perfect before he signed with.
Yeah, but how are you supposed to really pair him with that if you have Siakam as your power forward?
Yeah, that's another thing.
They're just stuck.
Well, I mean, you can still start those guys and kind of stagger the lineups here and there. But yeah, I get what you're saying though. Yeah, I would pay him though. I would pay him. I think he's the longest tenured pacer.
And he's been rumored to be in trades for about 7 years.
Yeah, so I think that's Tyrese Halliburton was always talking about how the organization valued the continuity, and I mean, he has to be better rebounding. That's 100%. That's indefensible. You can't.
Back-to-back games in the finals.
I think he's only had 1 double-digit rebounding game all playoffs, if I'm not mistaken.
That's 1 more than I thought he had.
Yeah, I think he had one or two. One or two. I can't remember which one it was. But yeah, a little bit.
They're going to bring him back.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, if you're asking where I think the Pacers can improve, which positions I think they can address, I think it's got to be center.
Yeah.
I'm just not a Turner guy at all.
Yeah.
And if he's going to stand there trying to be Ray Allen going 0 for 6 from 3, have fun.
Yeah, I think they can upgrade the wing position as well.
Yeah, I mean that too. But I'm saying I think that Turner has a certain reputation that I just don't think has been, I'd say, deserved, in my opinion. But the last point I'll make on Turner, it's also why I'm anti-Jaren Jackson Jr. There's one common theme. If you're 7 feet tall and you're playing center, you have to at least try to rebound the damn ball. 2 rebounds in 30 minutes in back-to-back finals games, it's a disgrace. You're against Chet and Hartenstein, who's finally starting games again, thank God.
He's been horrible, though.
It doesn't matter. The point is, you have 2 7-footers on the court for the other team. Your only 7-footer who gets actual minutes has to rebound the damn ball on principle. You have to try. Nesmith has been doing his best. He had
Yeah,
like
he's been
9
good.
rebounds
Yeah, he's been good.
in the last game.
Halley, too.
Hallie's been trying to rebound. He only had 2 rebounds in game 4. Nesmith had 9, Siakam at 8, Toppin at 7. You have 2. You have the same amount of rebounds as Andrew Nemhard. Like, come on. You have 2 7-footers against you.
How many did McConnell have? I'm pretty sure McConnell's out-rebounding him this series.
Well, he had 9 in game 1, so probably not. McConnell had 1.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. But you get what I'm trying to say. I'm anti-Miles Turner. I'm anti any center that doesn't rebound. Because what's the point of being 7 feet tall if you're going to play like you're 6'3"? Turner had that one poster dunk on Chet. And you wonder, why can't you attack the basket all the time? And he doesn't do it. And I feel like it's going to hold them back for the series. So that's my thoughts on Turner. Anyway, we're going to move on into Game 5. Anything else you want to add?
No, I'm good. I think we covered it all.
Yeah, last point I'll make, by the way, I see Ginger asking if Caruso has a chance of winning the MVP.
Hell no. What?
No, it is not. I understand the argument is Caruso's been incredible, and he's had a great couple of scoring spurts off the bench. Shea had 35. He carried them the entire fourth quarter. It's Shea.
No, but they might as well give. I'm gonna be honest with you.
For Indiana, it might be. I think it's Siakam if it's Indiana.
It is, but I would give it to Shea still. I know they're not going to, but
truth is, after LeBron lost it to Iguodala,
Yeah,
I just assume it's going to Shea if they win, or I assume it's going to Siakam if Indiana.
Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Either way. Point is, it's going to wrap it up for the recap of Game 4. Time to move on into the breakdown of Game 5. We're getting into Game 5. The reminder brought to you by our sponsor, which is EdgeBoost. First, their bank of bettors, ensuring that our gambling transactions are approved. New fees and minimums, cash rewards well, hunts and approval. For all but deposits time today with promo code SGPN. And also, if you sign up this week, you'll get a free Refs Terrorist t-shirt. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/refs to claim your free shirt. We're also brought to you by Circa because they're still hosting their Ultimate Fansable giveaway, which is a great opportunity for a 12-person league, the draft in Vegas, which are VIPs for your stay. Get a limo ride from the airport, a 5K tab for stadium swim, and hotel stay for you and your 11 league mates. You could also get a 15% off all of the Circa properties with promo code SGP15. Enter the contest at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Circa to get in on the free contest. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finished going through the recap of Game 4. Time to move on into Game 5. So, said before, we are back to a 2-2 even series. The Thunder are laying 9.5 at home, and the over-under is 223.5. Feels like the exact same series as the Nuggets series. But here we are. Thunder choked away Game 1, won Game 2 comfortably, lost Game 3 comfortably, or I should say they just lost Game 3, and then they ended up winning Game 4 in a low-scoring rock fight, which they arguably shouldn't have won. We're at Game 5. Thunder, we know, have a great home court. They had a great home court for about 93 out of the 96 minutes, but they ended up splitting those 2 games. I'll ask you, first things first, do you think 9.5 is a fair number for the spread?
I think it's fair. I think it's right, spot on. If I'm not mistaken, this is what it opened up, and then it kind of got bet up to like 10, 10.5, and it might have closed 11, actually. But we saw that was it looked like the right number for, about 46 minutes, but it didn't come into fruition. But I think that's about the right number. You expect the Oklahoma City Thunder to come back home where they played extremely well for the entire playoffs, especially in this game. If you look at some of the things this is the first time, if you notice, this is the first time that the Pacers have either been tied in a series or trailed. Like, they've never trailed, and this is the first time that they've been tied. So they've always had the upper hand, and so they were always able to play a little bit freer, knowing that, hey, we got these games at home in our back pocket. Because if you remember, they were 4-0 the first 2 rounds when they had to go on the road. So it's a lot different now, being that it's the best of 3, and 2 of those 3 games are in one of the toughest places to play in the NBA. So I think that's a big advantage for OKC. Now, granted, I think the pressure is still on OKC to win because they were the prohibited favorites to win, and now they have 2 of the 3 home games to get it done. So I think the number is fair. Do I want to lay the number? No. I would probably be more inclined to take Indiana. But one thing I will point out is that Indiana has to get better at defending the paint. OKC is plus 32 points in the paint. They're plus 29 on the free throw margin. I don't think that's going to change simply because of the nature that OKC plays, like you were talking about with Shea and Hallie. I think that is defining of their teams. OKC is downhill attack and get to the rim. Indiana's more finesse. They don't shoot a ton of threes. They're a little in the mid range. They do take a couple of threes here and there,
Yeah.
but
Besides
I
that,
mean,
Indiana also fouls a lot. That's a
yeah, they do.
negative
Yeah, they
characteristic of
do.
their team.
Yeah, they do. And and speaking of fouling, I mean, Neesmith's averaging 5.1 fouls per 36.
Yeah.
Turner, I know you'll like this stat, minus 18 in his last 3 games. But
I think it's been terrible.
Yeah, Indiana's been resilient. They have not lost back-to-back games since mid-March. But again, I mean, I think you can point all to those counting stats. I mean, they were 3 of 16 from 3. They had 10 assists. They turned the ball over 30 times in Indiana. That led to 44 points for Indiana off of those. Now, they did do a good job in limiting transition. Indiana only had 9 fast break points last game. But, I mean, they turned the ball over. The Thunder don't turn the ball over. I would probably argue that they haven't turned the ball over 30 times in back-to-back games in any part of the season other than now. And a lot of those were unforced. Like, it's not nothing. Indy's playing great defense, but the turnovers are more OKC-driven than they are Indy-driven. And they're shooting the ball 38% at home from 3 in the finals, place where, they haven't shot the ball well from 3 overall. They haven't shot it well, but they're shooting 41% through the 3 games. They shot 19 last game, so that brings that percentage down a little bit. So yeah, I think it's a game OKC wins. Do I want to lay the 9.5? No. So I'll probably be on Indy at some point in fashion, kind of waiting to see if I can get double digits. But I do think OKC wins. I think OKC wins the next 2, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so we saw OKC, they hit 3 3-pointers and 1 on the road. They were 3 of 18 from 3, which is kind of unheard of. But I do think this game will be close. I think this game is going to be a very, very interesting battle involving Carlisle adjustments and Daigneault adjustments, and I do think that Carlisle has been the better coach so far in the series. Yes, the game 4 offense was ugly down the stretch. I get that, but still, I've not been a fan of Daigneault this series. I think that the game 4 victory was mainly based on one tweak, which was targeting Nesmith instead of Nembhard, but it was mostly Shea and Jalen Williams going God mode, and Indiana forgetting how to play offense. I thought that it was a lot of Indiana getting tentative and getting scared, and they played scared, and they lost the game. So I do think Carlisle will have something for the Thunder, but I also don't want to lay 9.5 with a team that can't really hit many threes. It wasn't even just the threes made. They only attempted 16 threes, which is insane in today's NBA. If you're going to lose the 3-point margin that badly, I don't think I can actually pick you to win by 9.5 or more. I just think you're going to be forfeiting too much point differential from 3. And Indiana can get hot from that area. The Thunder bypassed it. They said, listen, we can't shoot. We're just going to give the ball to Shea and J-Dub and attack the basket. They got 38 free throw attempts because of it, which couldn't work out. But I'll pick Indiana plus the points. I agree with you. I think the Thunder win this game. But I do think, similarly to the Nuggets series, they won the Game 5 matchup only by 7. It was not a blowout. Game was pretty close. Mm-hmm. Thunder made some moves late. I think that was the game J-Dub hit the big 3-pointer to kind of hit the dagger in the last minute or 2. I see a similar story. I think the Thunder win this game. It's somewhat close, but I do think Indiana hangs in there. And they're going to be, in classic Indiana fashion, down 2 or 3 possessions with a couple minutes to go. And we'll see if they can potentially pull off the upset. I'm going to say no, but I think this is too many points. Indiana's proven that despite the reputation of the Thunder having a super team almost, these teams are closer than you think. Like, Indiana's a good team. And I think Indiana defensively can give this Thunder team problems as well. So give me the Pacers plus the points. I'll ask you, though, for the over-under. I think I like the under again. Because both teams defensively have been really good. You had 69 points in the first quarter of Game 4, and the game still flew under because the final 3 quarters died. So I see that happening again. Give me the under in this game.
Yeah, I agree with the under. And I saw somebody asking about the first quarter. I like the first quarter under as well because I think Indiana will come out with ultra aggressive, ultra confidence. And I want to see how the game is officiated because even with all those free throws and all those ball stoppages and the checks and stuff, we still were pretty comfortably under that number. So I think we see a similar trajectory as long as the game is – I think the game will be more free-flowing, obviously. And it has been in OKC. So – with that, I think the Thunder will, grind it out, and I think they'll limit the Pacers in transition as they did in Game 3. They're back at home. I think we can expect those role players like Aaron Wiggins. I think we should see a little bit more Isaiah Joe Casey Wallace should be a little bit better. So I think those guys will play better at home in a comfortable setting. And I think that defense. I mean, I think they'll limit the Pacers. I think the Pacers struggle to get to 110, which I know 114 is their window, where I think they're like undefeated when they get to 114. But I think they can limit them to under 110 with the Thunder's defense and with their ability to keep them off the free throw line. Number one, and again, where would they be without those big points from Obi? I think he had 17, 18 points and some massive, massive threes.
Yeah.
So I think they do a better job on him. Obviously, you got to expect.
That's why they keep benching Turner, because Toppin keeps playing better than him.
Yeah, but Turner's actually been better on the road than he has been at home, as far as just I guess counting stats wise. But again, I think OKC defensively is going to lock down and force the Pacers to do a lot of things that they don't want to do, which is they're going to force them into a lot of threes. They're going to force them to try to attack the rim and funnel them to Chet and Hartenstein. I don't think the Pacers want to live that way. I think they want to live in the mid-range and in the corner threes. I think the Thunder will take that away. They've had 4 games to kind of see what they like and what they don't like. So I think you've seen the team 4 times. You got everything is right there for you. So it's just about how you adjust. I think the pace will be down. So yeah, I like the under.
Yep, cool. Anything else you want to talk about for this game, or should we just move on to the lock and dog?
No, we can go lock and dog. It's cool.
Cool. So before we get into the actual lock and dog for the game, a reminder that we're brought to you by our sponsor, which is Underdog Fantasy, because you can go long with the NBA Finals with their extender bonus, hop in game 1. The longer the series goes, the bigger the bonus gets. And a reminder, when you sign up for a new account, use the code NBSGPN to get a special pack and first time offer up to 1K in bonus cash on fantasy promo code NBASGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, because they just launched a game-changing feature called Power Trends. Add detected patterns where Rhythm's models have consistently have a high ROI. Power Trends are updated daily, exclusive to Rhythm. No touts, no noise, just clean data-back picks. Download the app, check out Power Trends, start betting smarter. Try it out for free for a week, though, by using the 7-day free trial. Go to sportsgambling.com/rhythm to get your 7-day free trial. We're also brought to you by MyBookie, because MyBookie is Jay's place for sports. They have the NBA Finals, they have the Stanley Cup, they have the baseball cards, UFC, you name it. They're also available on a ton of locations. Use crypto for all in its payouts. Use the deposit and Santo for your new account. Use code SGPN. They had a wonder to match up to 1K. Terms and conditions by MyBookie.ag. Promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Game Podcast. Finished going through the preview for Game 5. Time to move on into the lock and dog picks. Lonte, I'll let you go first. What's going to be your lock and dog for the show?
Yeah, well, we just talked about my lock. I was trying to hold it back a little bit, but I like the first quarter under 55 for all the reasons that we just talked about. I think they'll come out. I think the Indiana Pacers are going to come out ultra aggressive defensively. I think they'll do a good job of not putting. They did a great job early on of not putting guys on the line. It's just that they couldn't sustain it towards the end. So I think they'll do a better job of defending without fouling. I think the flow will be a little bit better, and I just think defensively both teams will be locked in and forcing each other into tough shots. So I like the first quarter under 55. For the dog, I'm going with Shea, 8+ assists at plus 175. He had 0 assists and 35 points, I think, for the first time since Jerry West did it, if I'm not mistaken. I think Tom Haberstroh, Yahoo Sports had that. And I thought that was a really good nugget by him. And I think what's going to dictate this is they found something with the Shea J-Dub pick and roll. They ran like a season career high 9 pick and rolls between those two guys.
They went right at Neesmith, and Neesmith couldn't do anything about it.
It was really effective, and really it's just a ghost screen that Shea's not. Sometimes he does it, but for the most part, he goes up and he just taps the guy on the hip just to get J-Dub a little bit of space to kind of go behind him and get a layup. And J-Dub is really good with the left or the right hand with that sweeping layup. So I think Shea will get a lot more assists off of the. They'll probably try to blitz that a little bit more, and he'll be able to dump it off. And he had assist opportunities. It's just guys weren't. I mean, they shot 3 of 17 from 3, so guys weren't knocking down shots. So I think they'll be obviously more prone to knock down those shots at home. So let's go Shea 8+ assists, plus 175. I'll ladder it up to 10 as well. And you probably can get mid 2s like 220 for that. But for the dog section, let's just go 8+ for 175.
Yeah, so we are going to overlap slightly, but not exactly. I like the full game under. As my lock for the show. I was not on the show for Game 4. I love the under in that game that got there, despite having a bunch of points in the first quarter. But I think this number is still a bit high at 223.5. They landed 223 in Game 3 with a bit of a flurry there at the end for free throws and stuff. Game 4, you had a massive amount of free throws at the end, and it still landed 215. But I want to point out that after the first quarter, each of the last 3 quarters had a less than 51 points. Both teams defensively ramped it up and I see that happening again here in this game. I do think pace could play a factor. You could argue that Scott Foster not being there might increase the overall potential points for both teams. But I do think for the sake of the matchup, I love the intensity they saw defensively. The Thunder only made 3 3-pointers in the entire game. So I do think the Pacers have frustrated OKC's offense. Same can be said about OKC's defense, obviously. Give me another low-scoring game in Game 5. Give me the under 223.5 as my lock. For my dog, I am picking OKC to win, but we did like Indiana to cover the spread. Give me OKC 1-10 at plus 160. Think it's close. Think they make enough plays late. Think Shea Ice at the free throw line at the end. Give me OKC by about 7, give or take. But I do think that 1-10 is a very good value play. When we think Indiana's going to cover, we both think OKC is going to win. So give me the money line at a massive minus price at plus 160. I'll go with that as my dog for the show. Anyway, time for the underdog entry. Lonte, any actual things you want to add for the entry?
Let's see. I don't want to recycle the Shea one. How about Lou Dort? Higher threes. I think he'll get the attempts up. He was not. I think he was locked in on stopping Halliburton. I think he did a good job. A lot of Halliburton's points came off of switches. Halliburton was trending to play that first half, similar to what he did in the game. Was that game 2, where he only had 4 attempts in the first half? Yeah, he was right there. And then I think Dort got switched off of him a few times, and that led to him going to the rim, got to the free throw line. But it was tough for him to finish, so he's making those circus catches. But I think Dort will shoot the ball.
Unfortunately, Dort's a bit too expensive.
Oh, is he?
Is at 1.5, like a massive amount of juice. So I don't think we can take that.
Yeah, well, that was one of mine. What else? What do you have for
Can I interest you in Miles Turner, lower 4.5 rebounds? Instead of less than 5 rebounds and 3 straight. I'm a half joking, but I'm also half serious. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, that's kind of low for. I think he'll be a little bit more aggressive.
If you want to merge it, we actually could do PR at. I think that's at. Was that at 19.5 on Underdog?
I'll probably be more interested in that.
Actually, I don't even see it on Underdog. Where is it? Is it at 20.5? I'm just trying to find this. 17.5? No, I don't even know if it's listed yet.
Yeah,
I don't see it. But either way, point is, I think Turner might be a decent fade candidate, at least until he remembers how to shoot the ball. But I don't see lines on him, so I guess we're not going to take that. Did you have anything for Shea that you wanted? You wanted the assist?
Yeah, I would look at his assist as well, but I mean I gave that out, so we can go J-Dub. I like J-Dub PRA. I mean J-Dub's been killing it. He's been incredible.
Yeah.
So I like his PR. Me and Terrell ran that back. I mean we ran that in game 4. I'm sorry. I thought that was pretty good. Just he's been initiating a lot more. I think he initiated more offense than he has been in the past, and that's beneficial to him as an on-ball. He was better as an on-ball screener, as an initiator off the screen. So I think J-Dub's been really good. So I would look at his PRA higher, and I would look at Hartenstein lower. He's been, I mean, Hartenstein's like minus 11 last 2 games.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough.
Yeah, it's been bad. He's getting targeted every time on the switch, and that's how Halliburton's scoring a lot of his points is off of switches with Hartenstein there, and he's not good at perimeter defense like he was. I thought he was better when he was on the Knicks, but again, I thought he's dealing with an injury. He was dealing with an injury and all that, but I just think that they'll start him. They'll see how it goes, and then they'll kind of stagger his minutes. As you can see, like Carlisle countered, he didn't play any Thomas Bryant at all. Strictly went to Ben Shepherd. Ben Shepherd played, I think, 17 minutes, 15, 17 minutes, something like that. So I think Hartenstein will be less impactful in this specific game. So I like his. Those are the 2 that I like lower for him, and then higher on J-Dub.
Okay, so just trying to look for some other stuff quickly. Okay, do I think Wiggins is going to play at all?
I think Joe will.
Okay, I don't think we're going to have anything on Joe listed.
Mm-hmm. But I mean,
I actually like Obi, by the way. Obi's at 10.5 points. If you want to throw in his, you do or you don't? You don't?
He's only been over what, twice, right?
I was going to say
2 and 2.
Are you talking about you like the rebounds at 5.5?
I will take the rebounds. Yeah, I will take the rebounds.
I'm not even sure if that's a listed Underdog either. I think it is on Underdog. So let me just quickly check here. Sorry, I know we're taking some time. Yeah, so it's on Underdog. So I'll go with the higher on his rebounds there, and we need one more.
What? So we got Obi rebounds. What was the other one?
I actually just did J-Dub points at 22
Okay.
and a half.
Okay, that's cool.
So I think that's a good number too. I mean, do you want to go for McConnell 7.5 points? Just not overthink it. Goes over in every game.
Yeah, that's probably. I'm a little bit. I'm kind
He's
of
going over in 8 straight against the Thunder.
Yeah. Forget it. Let's do it.
Okay, sure. So once again, the 3-pick entry for Underdog, we're going to go with J-Dub higher, 22.5 points. Obi Toppin higher, 5.5 rebounds, and TJ McConnell higher, 7.5 points. That's going to do it for the Underdog entry. That's going to wrap it up for the show. Back once again for Game 6 in a few days. Lonte, anything else you want to add?
That's it, man. Hopefully we in for another game, another good game.
Yep, looking forward to it. Till next time, good luck to all of you, and I'll